So I'm going to talk to you now about managing unrealistic client expectations. Annabelle is somebody I've known for over 30 years now. So I've known her as a friend well before I got into the life insurance and financial services business. And when I got into the life insurance business, she was one of those people that became one of my first few clients. And over the years, she got married, she had children, her circumstances changed completely. And now the decisions that were made collectively. While I still managed to take care of the proposition that she purchased from me many years ago, what changed is with the entrance of her husband onto the scene and his connections, their future financial plans were all being managed under his and her discretion together. I don't think there was room for me to be part of that, that whole situation. So I stepped back from it, and somebody else managed all their life insurance, savings, and investment portfolios, except for the one contract which I sold her back in the day. And as years went by, we had our annual reviews about that one contract, and everything was fine. And then, I think about 7 or 8 years into our relationship as client and advisor, I received a call from her asking me for a favor. And the favor was that they weren't getting along with their current advisor. And by the looks of it, he wasn't going to last in the industry and he was going to exit. And the request made of me was, would I be willing to manage all their existing contracts? And back in the day, she was a friend and I didn't think or overthink the right fit client bit much. I just decided I could help somebody out, why not? Remember, there was no money on the table over here because these contracts were pre-sold. There was no commission on it, there was no revenue on it, it wasn't justified, but I went ahead and did it anyways. As the years went by and I started redefining and maybe reassessing who my right fit client is, needless to say, I realized that Annabelle didn't fit that criteria, didn't meet that criteria, not just on the basis of financial grounds, but also on the basis of the fact that one of the critical things required in that client, for that client advisor relationship to thrive, is communication. There needs to be regular meetings, either in person or nowadays on Zoom even, that 1 hour conversation once a quarter, once every 6 months, once a year, just to track and see if everything is going in the direction it is meant to go in. Long story short, 7 years ago, she transferred about 4 contracts to me to manage. And when there was a lateral shift in the marketplace on products and services, she was one of the clients I went to let them know that they needed to exit mutual fund-based products and move into something more cost-effective like ETFs. That was not a solution that was met with great enthusiasm. In fact, they decided to shoot that entire proposition down and they said, let's just stay in the contracts we're in at the moment. Let's leave them where they are. And when they end, whenever they end, we will exit them and we will take our money out. What it seemed like to me is they'd lost faith, any form of faith, in our industry, so to speak, in the financial services business, in the life insurance industry. And I think they were now gauging and judging every single advisor as they had the previous consultant who they weren't fond of, and things like that. As the years went by again, I'll tell you that their products performed. They had 4 products with us that we were servicing. Of the 4 products, 3 performed really well. They were in the money, they were positive. 1 product in there didn't. And again, not a product that we sold, but a proposition that we had suggested needs to be exited because of the huge fees that are being charged against the contract. They refused to take that advice, and now they're stuck in a product suite which is basically dropped by about 12 to 13%. But again, on the whole, their entire proposition put together, all their assets put together are up by over 35 to 40%. Just for this one. And the recommendation from my side to them was, you've done well with all your products. It would be a good time to exit and move this money into your bank accounts if you think you don't want to be involved with insurance companies and other financial institutions. But you see, the client has got this nagging need to have even that one product level up with a very challenging charge structure, which is Jurassic in nature. It's ancient and should not exist. At the same time, the client wants this product to function without regular interactions with us as an advisory team. Our team has reached out to this person several times over the last 17 odd years with absolutely no willingness on their side to comply with a meeting to manage their money. And the most recent call was very interesting because what I was told to do was make the required changes to have the product perform. But they weren't willing to have a recorded conversation about it or any email communication about it. And it made me think about the situation when years ago I ended up having a lot of lower backache. And I reflected on this because we're usually also referred to, from an analogy standpoint, we're also referred to as insurance doctors or financial doctors, right? And I thought about the situation. What if I didn't go to my doctor? What if I just reached out to him over the phone? And I said, I have a lower backache. And he wasn't able to diagnose me properly because I wasn't in front of him. I wasn't willing to give him the time or the energy or the effort. I wasn't willing to pay him for his service. I just wanted him to fix my backache without knowing what the underlying problem was. And what if every 6 months or every year, I just called him up and said, the backache's not gone. And he said, Rickson, you need to take this medication. And I said, no, but I'd like the backache to go. And he said, listen, Rickson, you need to get yourself checked properly. We need to do an x-ray. And I said, no. And I still need the backache fixed. And he said, well, you need to come and see my physiotherapist. And I said, no, but I just want my backache fixed. Push a button, fix my backache. You know, in an ideal world, this would be amazing. But I don't think AI or artificial intelligence, and everything else, all of the tech put together, can still allow us to push that one button and make these changes. I think in our client-advisor relationship, communication is one of the biggest things. The critical thing I'll say over here is, if I had to re-onboard this client today, there is not a shred of doubt that I have in my mind that I would say absolutely not. And mind you, we took this client on for no money. But even if there was money on the table for this client, 100% of the revenue was ours to keep, I would still say a big resounding no. Because communication would never be a two-way street with them. So I think it's something to consider even as an advisor. How do you exit toxic relationships like this? For me, it's always been, I want to ensure that the promises I made to my client, I can deliver on. Can I hand over clients to somebody else, a junior advisor? Not unless the advisor is the right fit advisor for the client. And I take this very, very strongly. I want to make sure my promises are kept. To what extent? If I think about the doctor now, before becoming the doctor, they have to take this vow that they will serve the public, etc., etc. But to what point? If the person isn't willing to take your advice, should you be trying to push that down their throat? I think not. I think today we've reached a point, if I have to make the situation correct today, I can't be the person that finds the right advisor for them, because knowing how this client is, I cannot honestly put them in somebody else's lap. And they also then cannot become my problem. So there is a need for me to completely detach myself from the situation and just let them be and find their own resources. Rip the Band-Aid off, if you may. How do you let go of or offload a client that's not willing to comply with your service proposition? What's the right time to do that? Is it ethically right for you to let go of them? And at what point does it make it okay to do something like that? Have you tried everything? Is your sanity and the sanity of your team and the functioning and the efficiency, are you willing to take a hit on all of that just to keep that client on board? Or should they be offloaded from your service proposition?